This is a Glassbox Media podcast. Hey everybody, welcome to My Worst Date. I'm Cassie.
I'm Keegan.
I'm Christina.
And we are so pleased to be joined today by Becky Feldman of the Too Stupid to Live podcast. I also saw on your website, whenever I was like looking you up in prep for this episode, that you have TV appearances on like Broad City and Jimmy Kimmel Live.
TV's Becky Feldman here.
TV's Becky
That's
Feldman.
what I always call myself.
TV's
Hi, I'm TV.
That's
I
how
don't know
you
if you've
introduce
heard of-
yourself.
Have you heard of something called television? Because that's me. I'm on it.
I'm on it. Kind of a big deal.
Yeah. I had one line
amazing.
on 3 shows. No.
No, that's
Listen,
No.
it's more than I got.
I'm proud of it. Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
as you should be. So you call your podcast a cheap romance novel podcast. Is that right?
That is correct. Yeah.
Can you talk about that a little bit?
Of course, yeah. So I started, well, you know, as we mentioned earlier, I have like dabbled in acting and, you know, there's only so much money you can make. So, you know, in my 20s, I, you know, loved romance novels. It was kind of helping me through like a dark time. So, but I only had so much money. So I was always buying romance novels that were $5 and under. That was my rule.
You were like, I'm limiting myself to this price point.
Yes.
And I am going to stick to it.
That's and I was for some reason very adamant. Like
Yeah.
I mean, I could have gone 501, but I never. No, it was like $5.
$4.99.
$4.99. And so I was like reading them and devouring them, and like I think there was a part of me that like always like these are insane. I need to talk about it with someone.
Amazing.
I was like I will acknowledge I was like too embarrassed at the time because you know there was like a stigma
Yes.
to
Yeah.
Yeah.
reading romance, and so then you know I knew I wanted to start a podcast one day and like talk to people, and so lo and behold that's kind of the origin of it. I started like one microphone, me in my closet, just like talking to myself, like no one would listen, and then I was like, oh, I should get like guests and stuff, and then there you go.
Yeah.
That's how the
Force them to read a under $5 romance
Force
novel.
force me.
yeah, I
Twist
forced,
my arm.
I know, for so many people. I've forced, like, I, you know, have like come from like an improv world. And so I forced so many like comedy people to like read a book. And it's like, they're always blown away, you know,
Yeah.
like I'm
By
always
the
like,
act of reading or just
that. Yeah. They're like,
What is this? I can consume things
Looks
through
like
my
we got ourselves a
Yeah.
reader.
I know, they come in, they're so smart, and then they leave, and there's a bunch of douchebag.
No, we were talking before we started recording. One of my favorite recent episodes that you've done that has opened my eyes and also consumed my plans for the next upcoming few weeks is Pride and Prejudice fan fiction.
Yeah.
I gotta say that hits so many sweet spots for me that I really, my brain is empty of anything else. I'm writing one right now as we speak in my
your
head.
brain. Yeah.
You know, I
Yeah.
never got into the world of fan fiction.
I was just
And I
thinking
feel
about
like
that.
there is fan fiction for absolutely everything.
Everything.
And I've
think like a
I've
whole site
considered
for it,
it,
right?
Yeah, I think that there are full sites dedicated to it. There's definitely like sections of like like erotica websites that are dedicated to fan
Harry
fiction.
Potter fan
And
fiction.
I've considered it, but I feel like I can't separate out my like childhood nostalgia
Sure.
to like think about these
It's
characters
very
going to
dirty.
like Pound Town. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like,
Yeah, that's true.
I can't get there, but I'm curious because there's any pairing imaginable exists within fan fiction.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
they've done it.
Wild stuff. Like
Yeah.
there's like scientifically, like, you know, there's like the Winchester boys from Supernatural, like pregnant from each other. Like, I mean, it's just like wild, like,
Why?
like, I don't know. Like, I'm just like, okay, like I'm here for it. Like, you know, you express yourself. Like I was the same way with fan fiction, and like a few months ago I was doing this like interview for like this writing job, and they were like, so tell us about like your fan fiction writing. And like I guess that's like a thing people do. Like it is a huge thing, and like it's almost expected. And I, you know, lied, of course. I got the job, so it's
Yeah.
fine. I'm they already paid me.
You're good at improv. So.
Yeah, I was like, oh,
Yes,
I love,
and.
yeah,
Exactly.
yes, and I am
Exactly.
a fan, and I love fiction.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a huge thing, and like so many romance readers, I think, kind of like got into reading romance through fan fiction, because I think a lot of writers, and I could be wrong, like are inspired by the things that they love and bringing their own fantasy.
50
I mean, like
Shades.
Twilight.
Shades.
Yeah. 50 Shades.
Yeah.
Yep.
You know.
Oh man. I think fan fiction is something I'm actually sitting here thinking, I'm like, I wonder if I could prompt Chat GPT to write something for me.
Absolutely, you could.
100%.
Oh my god.
Yeah, what would you do?
Yeah.
Like, if you were gonna prompt Chat GPT to write a fan fiction, would it be Pride and Prejudice, or would you go outside the box?
100. I would definitely start there,
Yeah.
and I would make like Mr. Darcy daddy.
Oh, Mr. Daddy.
Oh, that exists on the
Daddy
internet.
Darcy.
100%.
Darcy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Could you create a world in where you have like all of those kind of gruff, male leads? You got like a Mr. Darcy, a Rochester, a Heathcliff, all existing. You could get like a three-way going on.
Oh,
like,
wow.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And you're
just the Jane Austen world, and like they're all fighting for
Bronte,
me.
Austin.
I'm seeing the mental health issues in that house.
Yes.
Exactly. Yeah, we're gonna write those out.
It is unsafe for you in that house. That's the
Sponsored
truth.
by BetterHelp. /MWD.
Yeah. These
Oh
three
my
poor
God.
men who need to help with their emotions. Oh my God. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's sexy.
It
Yeah.
is, a fixer-upper. Always sexy. Why? I don't know. It's not healthy
We
for me.
love a
No.
project.
Yeah.
I think it's the
do.
Capricorn in me.
I
I really
do.
do see a lot of
Potential.
potential.
I
Me
see potential
too.
in you.
Yeah.
Well, we're creative people. And I think, like,
yeah.
We want to give people the benefit of the doubt. We're
I
compassionate.
got really into refinishing furniture for a minute. I
so
feel like
funny.
it's similar.
I'm so opposite of that, and in my mind, I like to think that I'm a fixer-upper, but my patience gets real thin on it. And I know
You're a
this
turnkey.
because I need a turnkey situation,
Yeah.
or I need to know that you're a motivated motherfucker because I ain't fucking around. It's so the funny thing is I was asking Chris, I was like, just randomly, I was like, how much would I need to make? I'm looking for everybody looks for new jobs all the time. So you're always
Right.
looking at like what's around. Like, how much would I need to make for you to be my stay-at-home husband? He goes, I would never. He was like, no, I would love it. However, you would have no respect for me. And I was like, know thyself. You're absolutely right. It would be awful for him.
Yeah.
He's like, but I said at the same time, like when I was off of work for that time, I was like, I busted my ass. I like double timed. I was like, that fucking house was spotless. I learned to fucking cook. I was like,
You're
I was
crocheting all the time?
Yeah, I was crocheting shit.
Everybody was getting coasters.
Listen, I was coming correct. I was like, if I'm not going to work, I busted my ass. I was just like, I
Could
felt
not be me, man. I could not be like stay at home. I couldn't. I would go.
I was losing my shit. That's why
Yeah.
I was doing so much around the house, because I was like, I don't feel worthy if I'm not contributing to this household in a meaningful way. And I felt like that was my only way to contribute in any meaningful way,
Right,
was
right.
to just fucking keep the cleanest house you've ever seen.
So Cassie needs a turnkey.
Yep.
I'm fine with a
A little bit of fixer.
like I've had tear
remodel.
downs
Yeah.
before.
Yeah.
Like
Full
full on
redo.
tear downs. What about you?
I'm somewhere in the middle. Look, I feel like I'm growing as a person. I feel like I used to lean hard into teardowns. Like, actually, I think I sought them out because I was just like, I want to be.
That's
Oh, you want a bargain.
I want to bargain, and I want to be the person who's like, I can fix
did
it,
this.
and I know that
Cover
there's,
you in shiplap and
there's gold underneath that. You know what I mean? I know it. I
There's
just
gold in them there
gotta
hills.
dig hard enough. But now the main difference is that I'm tired. Okay,
Yeah.
I'm sleepy. I'm sleepy all the time. We were just talking about this. This is like my third cup of coffee. I don't have the energy to fix you. Okay,
Oh,
I need you to do at least I need you to do about 70% of the heavy lifting here. So I can go into like a house that needs some renovations.
Yeah, maybe takes
Right.
down the wallpaper.
Yeah.
a
Maybe
new
we
paint
knock
job.
down
New
a wall or two.
countertops.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. But in general, the bones are good. Like
Yeah.
the bones have to be good.
Okay.
Right.
No termite damage.
Yeah. Foundation, good. Right. Like
Got it.
foundation and roof. I don't want to have to repair those. But
Yeah.
I've had squirrels in attics.
Yeah,
That's how bad
girl.
it's been.
But in real
Yeah.
life.
Yeah, exactly.
I
What about you?
Are we talking about guys or houses?
both. I mean, yes.
Okay, got it. It's funny. Like, I feel like I am other people's fixer uppers.
Oh.
Do you ever feel that way? Like,
Yes, I do
Ooh.
feel that way sometimes.
Okay, yeah. Like, I'm not nice. Well,
Oh no.
how do I say this? I listen, or like, when someone else is talking, I listen. And I think when you're with certain people and it's like, they're just keen on giving you advice. And I don't know how to be like, I already know that.
I don't need that.
I don't need that. Like, it's like, it's like even like dumb stuff. Like, it's like, I know that like, the Saul Goodman show is a prequel from Breaking Bad. Like, I know that. I don't need that explained to me, but I'm always like,
wow.
Interesting.
Fascinating.
Wow. Like, and I need to work on that.
Wait, what is your sign?
My sign is an Aquarius.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Does that make sense? I don't know.
Yes, it does. And I
Okay.
love an Aquarius.
Oh, thank you.
It's very go with the flow because you're an air sign. You're just
Right,
like, okay,
yeah.
whatever. Like, cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that makes sense.
I know. It's
Yeah.
bad. It's bad. Like, I feel like I've listened to a lot of the same things again and again, and you just wind up
I do
bored.
that too, though, because I
Yeah.
think it comes from a compassionate place of just being like, okay, and wanting to move the conversation forward. I think is just kind of like, I don't want to be argumentative. I don't want to like interrupt you in the middle of this thing and be like, no, like no, thank you, I'm not interested in that, or like whatever. You just like let them get it out of their system, and I'll change the subject in a second. Like
Yeah.
I do the same kind of thing.
Because, like, I feel like I've been in situations where, like, someone is explaining something, and I'll be like, oh, yeah, no, I have experience with that. And then you kind of just see the energy shut down. And it's like,
I'm ready for that, though.
I know. And it's like,
Me
oh,
too.
my
Yeah.
show.
I'm like, oh shit, yeah, no, I love that show, and blah 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 blah. And I'm sorry if your energy breaks down because I can relate to that. Like, you don't have to be my parent.
I know.
Like,
Yeah.
I know things too. I'm a full grown adult. Like,
Well, that's
Right,
how
yeah.
conversation should go. It should be give and take anyway. You know what I mean? I do see a balance, and I never want to be that person who is making everything all about me either, because I see
the
people
struggle.
doing that.
the struggle is so fucking real.
Yeah.
Cassie's like, trigger.
yeah.
Re-triggered.
Well, we first met you, Becky, through our friend Kelly, Boobies and Newbies. We have her book right here behind us, actually. But we first met you through her.
Yeah, and she, opened for us. No big deal.
Yeah, and you and Kelly opened for us for our live show back in October. And I do feel like through you and Kelly and also Book Talk, I have learned so much specifically about romance novels and all of these like subgenres that I had never thought about before. I never realized how vanilla I was.
for romance novels,
Yes,
There's
until
the whole world is
Listen,
out
there's
there,
something
man.
for everybody.
It was something I think that Kelly had read, or it was suggested to me on Goodreads because of Kelly or something like that, where it was a romance novel that, and I spent so long on Goodreads reading the reviews for this because I read the description and
You're
it
I don't
was
know if I
like,
can read the book, but I do want to know what other people think about it.
yeah, it was a monster romance.
Ooh,
where
okay.
He had two penises.
Oh, I read it. Yeah,
Listen.
Did
the dragon's
Yes.
wife or something.
Yes.
Yeah,
Oh
I
my
read that.
God.
Wait,
Yeah.
is the dragon?
He's a dragon
And
man.
he's got two dragon
two
man
dicks.
with two dicks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
The second you said two big dicks, I'm like Katie Robert. Yeah.
Yeah.
The Dragon's Bride. Yeah.
How was it? I have to ask.
Like, oh gosh, I mean, I loved it. Like,
Okay,
I mean,
great.
it was the most carnal, wild, disgusting, sexy, like,
Amazing.
like,
Amazing.
they're,
The
like-
way I'm about to go, we're all like,
yeah,
let's
let's
see,
get it.
look
Let's get it.
this
Because
up real
I feel like lately, and I again, like there's so many subgenres of romance novels, and I only see, like I only read these books, or like I only see this like algorithm on my book talk, you know what I mean? But like there's a lot of like just like kind of like pushing the boundaries, and a lot of like kind of I want to say dubious consent, but really not to that, you know,
Right.
of just like, I just like I read a retelling of like a Beauty and the Beast kind of romance, and it
Was it the Anne Rice one?
no, it
Because I
was
did read those.
Well, that's
Those were good
Sleeping
as fuck.
Beauty, right?
Oh, Sleeping
Yeah.
Beauty. I think you're right. Yeah.
and and so like it's like, whoa, these like very Stockholm syndrome-y, like, but people are into it, who am I to say?
Yeah.
And so with this Dragon's Bride, I was like reading it. My sister-in-law is also a romance reader, and I was like at her house like reading it to finish it up because I was doing it for an episode actually. And so when I was like, oh my God, Cindy, I just read the craziest thing, and she was like, what is it? And I was like, he just said that like if anyone else tried to like want to be with his wife, he would kill that person and then fuck his wife in his blood. And and my sister-in-law was like, that's the hottest thing I've ever heard.
I feel like
feel like we did a tainted love that was like
you're
that.
discovering some things about yourself that you might need to bring up in therapy. Like that is.
Yeah.
It's wild because I think people are really into, there's like kind of a fantasy of like being possessed, being protected, having someone being like so into you that they will do the craziest shit to other people.
That shit
and it's
scares me.
Yeah.
I don't
It's
think that's my
horrifying.
thing.
Yeah.
Because I'm so scared of, we talk about it on the show all the time, that like my number one fear is like obsession, like having a stalker who like is relentless and won't stop. And I feel like the line is very
So
fine
thin.
between somebody who's just like passionate about you and somebody who's like obsessed with
Joe
you.
Goldberg.
Because when,
From you.
Yeah, because when I'm done, I want to be done. I want to know that like you're not gonna like you're not gonna murder the next guy I date and want to fuck me in his blood.
Right.
Like,
No, it's a turn off for me.
I don't want to.
It's kind of
I'm slightly turned off by it.
yeah. No, but I do like, I think partially because I grew to this height when I was like 12. So I've always been like the shack of middle school pretty much. And like always like taller than dudes that I'm like, whoa, you know, like, so there is like when I'm reading romance novels, there is a lot of me that I think I turn to a little bit more of that possessive, because I'm often the one that's like, I'll beat his ass, honey. I'm the one.
I act that way, and I am not that tall.
Just, you know, I do sometimes want to feel like a little
Delicate
delicate flower,
Mm-hmm.
you know. I am a big, strong, independent
Capable
woman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How did the two dicks work? I need to know.
Oh,
Really sorry.
Turning it back to the double
Yeah.
dick.
Okay, before I answer that question, my mom listens to my podcast as well, and so she listened to that episode, and she was like, I went to visit her, and like I hadn't seen her in so long, and she's like, I have a question about these two penises.
Yes.
When one
Same, Mom.
Like when one has to go to the bathroom, what does the other one do? And like, does the other?
Oh.
And
Is
she
it
was
a
like,
double shoot?
yeah,
situation?
exactly. And I was like, well, they didn't talk about peeing in the book. Like, basically, like, there are times where she will, you know, like, fuck one and then kind of like, you know, jump on down to the other one.
They're in different locations.
No,
I
they're
see.
not. They're in the same location. I didn't mean like
okay.
jump on
Yeah,
down.
I
It was
think
kind of
so.
like,
Okay.
I'm assuming there's some like DP stuff that happens.
Yeah, I would
course.
assume. Yeah.
Yeah.
she, you know, will
I mean, like,
jer-
why have it if you're not going to DP?
exactly.
I mean,
She will jerk off one and fuck the other. And then there is one point where she does fuck both at the same time. And it's
Oy.
like, that's like, I, you know, certainly have my own like, pelvic issues. And so like when I read it, I was like, oh my God, this poor woman. Like I felt
Wait,
sympathy
in the
pain.
same?
yeah.
in the same hole. They both went in.
Have you never watched porn?
Oh.
I don't like that.
Here is
For
the
me
thing, though, and-
personally.
Yes, I personally do not like that, but in this world, which is why I love these books, is like there was like a magical balm afterwards that you put on, and she's fine.
Oh,
in that
exactly.
case,
great.
Yeah,
I
and
mean,
that's like what I love.
Different.
But
You
there
don't
was
have next day soreness.
yeah.
I get it.
But like there was like a paragraph where I'm like, oh God, I feel so sorry for her, and then
You're
it's
like
yeah.
sweating. You're
Yeah.
like,
dear God, should she break apart? Like, and then it's like, oh, okay, there's a bomb. Okay, now I can keep going.
Yeah.
You know,
Magic.
perfect.
There's
Magic.
a lot of stuff though that you read that you're like, oh, that's so hot. That like in real
Oh,
life,
God.
100%
Hard pass. Yeah.
hard
Never.
pass
Yeah.
in real life.
Yeah.
I am not gonna lie. I think everything that I like in a romance novel, if someone did that to me in real, if someone was like that in real life, I'd be like, get away.
Yeah.
Ew,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like stop being
Yeah.
like stop I don't want to be complimented. I don't want nicknames. I don't want any
me.
of this. You know what I mean? Like just be a human. You
Yeah.
know? Like
Yeah.
no pet names.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I think the only thing in real life that's actually like been from like a romance, not the enemies to lovers thing. I'm like that.
Oh, always.
That can
That
feel that
always.
was
Yeah.
That's
for real.
sexy. I think that I mean that's I love that trope. I think there is something very like there is a fantasy there.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I do have fantasies of like just someone that you really dislike and then just like fucking them in a class. But you know, also marrying them and having a great life. You know, whatever.
Very
But,
yeah.
like,
a la the hating game kind of
Yeah, it's
scenario.
the
Yeah.
dating game. So in that live show, after you guys talked about monster fiction, I told my tainted love, which was a story about aliens, romance about an alien and a
Really
human
had
man.
everything.
Yeah, it really had everything. So I know that there's also alien romance subgenre.
Similar, right?
They are similar, I feel like, but I mean there are slight differences here. So my would you rather for you is, would you rather be in an alien romance novel,
Okay.
as the female protagonist, or would you rather be in a Dragon's Bride situation, like a monster romance novel?
I feel like, okay, just based on the novels that I've read and the pop culture that I've consumed, dragons, there's a lot of baggage with them.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
They have difficult
it's like,
paths.
They have difficult, and it's like, oh, are you extinct? Are you not extinct? You're connected to these people. You're not.
There
like,
is
you're
so
breathing
much more to this
fire.
than I would have thought.
Yeah, and it's like, and it's also like, you're a dragon. Everyone's like,
Yeah.
you represent things. Whereas an alien, it's like, who are you? I don't care. You're from a different planet. You have a different culture.
It's much looser.
It's looser, yeah. And it's like, oh, I can like get to know. I can like, it's like traveling a little bit. Well, it is you know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like it's like meeting
I
new
think the
people.
same.
Yeah.
And like, you have the potential for travel there. I mean, they can take you to space. That's incredible.
Yeah.
I'm sure that they can do some stuff like cerebrally, where there is something so much more.
I feel like you can hit a lot more fantasy points too.
Yes.
With
an alien.
Yeah.
Because you don't have you have some preconceived notions of what alien is, but you don't at the same time. So you can hit a lot of different things. It can be very clinical. The spaceship could be very clinical. So you could do a whole doctor type scenario. They could have a lot of things attached to them. There could be limbs and things.
A lot of probing happening.
A lot of probing. There's lots of different stuff.
There's so much stuff. And I will say, like, I feel like you're going to be like, do you read these books while you're on shrooms? And I don't. But, like, I think they're, like, alien romances are very, very powerful because, like, 90% of it is, like, they're fucking an alien who has, like, an insane dick that looks like the rabbit vibrator that we all love. Like, it's perfect sex. But there's, like, 10% of it that, like, kind of does question the patriarchy a little bit because you have these male aliens, like, very interested. They're good listeners. You know, they're the best listeners in romance.
You got Christina immediately.
And they are asking these women like questions about how their society works. And they're just so confused. Well, not confused, but they question like things that we all like have accepted
for granted
as commonplace. Yeah. And it really is like if you really read into it, you know, which you don't have to.
Keegan, this is the romance.
I
for
think
you.
I need to pick up some alien romance books.
It really does. Is like it really does question the patriarchy. It questions our society. It questions free will. Like it. I feel, but also
it's so
like,
deep.
but also it's alien
But
porn.
like anyway, his tentacle goes inside her butt, and that's great too. But it also really
Good
makes
for her.
you question your life and like you know question society. And it's a very I think it's very politically powerful. And I will like anyone
love it.
Well, I know it sounds weird, but I'm just like if you just read a few of them after like. And they're so quick. They're very quick reads, you know, because there's only. I feel like there's only so much an author can do with like, okay, like, blah, blah, blah. But they just if you really like, kind of like, read the book beyond, you know, the sexual stuff. If that's what you want to do, you can really just like start questioning, like, my behaviors versus this behavior and things that I'm just like kind of have been like conditioned for. You know what I mean?
Love it.
Yeah,
I love it. I do feel like monster subgenre does feel more patriarchal. Like I feel like it is definitely more possessive. Like even in that story, it was very much like kind of like a Beauty and the Beast thing. Like didn't he like win her in a thing and like she was kind of his like captive or whatever. Which look, I understand that can be hot, but like I feel like monster Beauty and the Beast kind of themes are very typically that way.
it is.
Yeah, I would rather read the monster one. It turns me on, but I would be more turned on in real life by the alien.
Yeah.
Someone who's interested in you and listening to you.
Yeah.
I will say but I'm not going to deny that in these monster romances, they do have that element of like, you have a monster who is the least monstrous character in this world because it's a human man who's the monsters in these books.
Yes,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so like these monsters, like a lot of them, and again, this is like from the ones that I've read, they like keep to themselves. They you know, like they probably have been alive for 800 years. They have weird, whatever, and they're like keeping to themselves. They think they know what the world is. They meet these like spry women, and like they're the ones questioning. Like they have their own kind of journeys as well. You know, it's not just like the woman going through this like self-empowerment journey of like I can speak for myself. It's also like these like monsters breaking down their walls a little bit and like learning to communicate. And it is like I honestly feel like if the whole world were reading these books, like we wouldn't have war.
I love that statement.
Wow.
Put that on a t-shirt. That's a great soundbite.
Yes.
If the world was reading monster and alien romance novels, it'd be world peace. We'd have world peace.
Yes.
Honestly, I agree.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
I do wish more men would read like romance novels.
I do too.
Yeah.
Rather than just watching whatever porn they find on Pornhub.
Yeah.
Whatever's recommended to them on Pornhub.
Grubhub.
Are you hungry?
Oh my God.
It's a different hub.
El Pollo Loco is having a sale.
Wow.
5%
So,
off.
are you dating currently right now?
You know what? I am actually not dating. I have an interesting story that this could be like a whole other, podcast episode, but I have, stopped dating during the pandemic and am trying to get back out there, but I don't like the dating apps. I find them very boring. So I have been trying to like figure out how to meet people, and I have been failing miserably. Also because I'm lazy and I love like being at home as well. But
it's hard out there.
It's so hard out there. And so like in my I'm gonna just like start talking about myself, but like in my 20s I did not date at all. And so then because I was dealing with chronic pelvic pain, I decided not to date. I was going through this
Take care of yourself.
But it was also like kind of like I wasn't getting the care that I needed, so it was kind of like a giving up kind of situation. I get to my 30s and I start dating again, and I start making the mistakes that I think people make when they're like 16, right?
Yeah,
I feel like a 16, 30-year-old, and then I feel like I'm like just getting things right, and then the pandemic happened, and I stopped dating, and now I feel like I'm like back to kind of square one a little bit of like I feel like I'm 16 again. Does that make sense?
Yes,
totally.
absolutely.
Yeah.
It does feel like you're starting fresh again. And I think that, it's so funny because we talked about this recently. Like, I feel like there's less people are finding interest in the apps.
Yeah.
I've noticed a lot more people who are like, just like meeting people in real life.
Yeah. I was like at this, like, I'm involved with this like pelvic pain, like, advocacy network, and I was like talking to someone, and she was like, oh, I never use apps. And I was like, well, what do you do? She's like, I go to bars and talk to people. And I'm like,
okay,
I don't understand.
It's hard though,
What's that
because I feel like I'm a fairly like social person, a fairly extroverted person, but we've talked about this as well. Like the pandemic changed me in that like I have whole days now where if I'm working from home, I don't even go outside, like where I'm just like, where it never used to be like that. So I think meeting people IRL was easier before, like whereas like I think people have the inclination to want to meet people in real life, but getting out, for me at least, is so much harder. Like it's hard for me to motivate myself to go outside. Like it's hard for me to motivate myself to go to a bar. Like, so I think unless you're doing things like you are involved in like groups, or you've got some kind of like extracurricular activity that forces you to like be in contact with other people, that it can be hard to meet people as an adult in real life. I mean, people talk about that all the time with even just making friends. It's hard to make friends as an adult because you go to work and you come home and you see the people that you see, and you just get kind of locked into a routine. You know,
I'm like the opposite of that. I'm like the person who's like, hi, everybody's my friend until you're not my friend.
But
and then I try really hard to make you my friend again.
I think people appreciate that though, because like I think like a lot of people.
I force myself on Christina. She knows.
And now look at that. But like I think like if we all like were out there and being like, and we're very open and was just like, hi, my name is like, I'm Becky. I am very socially awkward. I haven't dated in 3 years. People would be like, me too. And then you would just connect. I think like we all have our own, like we're all coming in with our own, like, I don't want to say baggage, but insecurities or whatever.
When I was single, I would go into any place, any bar, restaurant, that sort of thing. When we were out, I felt like the fucking Terminator. Do you know what I mean? Like you do the scan. And then you're like, I noticed more people while single because you're just constantly scanning. Like, is there fish in this pond? Like, should I get my fishing stuff, or is this, just are we just gonna sit in the canoe and drink beer? But
fine with both.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. You know, I don't have a problem making friends when I go out. Like that's not the issue. Like I feel like I have so many people's numbers in my phone of like people who I've met at bars. You know what I mean? I really do, because I'll like make friends with people at bars and then I'm just like, who the fuck is Christine? You know, like I'm like, I don't know.
It's
but
so true. I think last time we went out, you put somebody's phone number in your phone.
I'm sure I did. I'm sure. Actually, I know I did.
I don't even know who the person was.
And they've hit me up since to go get coffee.
Amazing.
So, I mean, I don't have a problem making friends when I go out. I have a problem going out.
Like I 100% agree.
Yeah.
Well, I have both problems, but I feel like I'm a little, but you know, I can like cover up any, you know, like we're friends, whatever. But like, I totally understand. It's just like it's like putting your shoes on, you know, and like walking out the door.
Yes.
Like, why is that so
hard?
I don't know.
Clothes, real clothes.
Oh my God, I've been forgetting clothes this whole time.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, there are days where I'm just like literally can feel the clothes on my skin, and it's so annoying to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I know. I'm wearing like yoga pants right now. I literally wear workout pants. Even if the it's like a mullet, you know what I mean? Like business up top, party down below.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, what is your worst date then? We got to have the worst date story.
So, like I said, I was, you know, in my 30s, still figuring shit out. Okay, so I had a very small role on the remake of the movie Chips.
Amazing.
Great.
Amazing.
I'm proud of whatever, but like the joke of the scene is that like, oh, one of the guys like hooks up with someone who's like who does like all these crazy shit in bed, and then like it ends up being me, and I'm like too. Like the joke is that I'm not, you know what exactly.
Yeah,
that's not nice.
It was not nice, but it's a day of work.
There you go.
Whatever. I don't care. But so I'm starting to date for the first time. You know, the movie comes out and I'm getting messages on like, I'm on the apps. I'm getting messages from OkCupid of like, Chips girl, da 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 da. So I and also on these apps, because I hadn't dated for so long, I was just like hookup central. Like I just want to meet people.
Bang, 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 bang,
bang
bang.
it out.
Yeah,
It's like
bang it out.
kind of like that Billy Madison movie. You know, I just needed to like kind of, I needed to be a 20-year-old, I think.
Yeah.
So
going through it.
Exactly. So a guy like, you know, is messaging me, and he like is like, oh, I saw you in Chips. It used to be my favorite show. You know, the TV show itself was my favorite. I watched the remake, didn't like it, blah, blah, blah. Understandable. But he was like, but I thought you were cute. And so like after like dealing with all of this, like, am I ugly? Am I Hollywood ugly? Like, what's this? What's that? And just like, also, am I a human being in this world? Like, I'm like, let's meet, baby. Like,
Yeah.
And so I go to meet him, and like he is like, he's obviously nervous, you know, and understand I'm nervous. Like, I don't know. We both are just like two like nervous wrecks. But he is very much into the TV show. Like he really is.
Jesus.
Really?
Oh God.
Like the TV show Chips.
Really?
Into it. So we're there. We're at this bar, and and again, I am giving him the benefit of the doubt of maybe he was just like nervous, hasn't dated. I don't know.
Oh no.
But like he, you know, is like kind of giving me like kind of like all of these like kind of Chips-based trivia.
Based humor.
No.
Yeah, and he's like, oh, did you know that like Eric Estrada and the other dude, like they didn't get along on set? And I'm like, oh no. And then
that's kind of interesting.
Yeah.
But
and then
that
he's
can't
like,
beat our whole date.
yeah, and then he's like, oh, did you know that they filmed the opening right on the 134? You know, and I'm like, oh wow, that's so interesting. And
Can we talk about
Anything else?
And
Wow.
So again,
Wow.
I'm
And he's so nervous too.
He's
like
nervous.
he literally can't stop talking about it too. Like probably in his head, he's like,
stop talking about
shut the fuck up.
no, and he like can't, but like, you know, it's like I get it. Like I could have been talking, like who knows what I was like. I was probably talking all about like trivia from Rocky 2. You know what I mean? Like who knows? So I was probably 35 trapped in a 20-year-old or like 20-year-old trapped in a 35-year-old woman's body. I do go back to his apartment, and he
if he put
my
chips
God.
on
If
in
he
the
has an
background.
Eric
No, he
Estrada
didn't.
post.
He
in
put
it.
chips
No,
on
he
it.
didn't. No, he did not. No, he did not.
He did. And so we're
Yeah.
there, and he was like, oh, so like I said, the because I told him I lived on the east side, and he was like, oh, there's this opening shot in the first episode of Chips where like it's right on Sunset in like Alvarado, and and so
He's like, and that's where I live.
yeah, right. Yeah. And so I go in and he's like, do you want to see that opening shot on Sunset in Alvarado?
don't.
And he like puts it on and I'm watching the opening to Chips and I'm like there and I'm like, what is my life? Like, what am I doing? This is insane.
Deception.
Like,
it really is kind of.
like, how did this happen?
my
Like, I just
God.
wanted to feel sexy for one night.
Yeah.
And now here I am, like,
Watching Chips.
And I was just like, hey, man, like...
Oh,
Just because I was in this movie does not mean that this is my whole personality.
Yeah, and it was a day. I worked half a day and forgot about it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And so I turned to him and I was like, "Listen, man, I didn't come here to watch Chips, and
I came here to bang, 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 bang.
yeah." And so then he like kind of got he turned it off. We made out, whatever, and it was like not great,
Oh,
yeah.
my
It was just like
God.
I was just like by that time, like
listen.
I feel like you would be so mad. Like it's like when I listen to your podcast and I'm like, oh my God, like
Christina
the
would
red
never
flags.
put up with that shit.
Yeah, like you.
No,
yeah,
no, but
you know
I
what
have.
mean?
If you listen early enough, like I had an awkward makeout session with somebody after watching the Florida Project.
Oh my
Yes.
God. Oh man.
Really a bummer.
And here's the thing. That wasn't even the worst part of the
Oh,
night.
go on.
Well, no, and actually, that wasn't the worst part of the night. But that wasn't even the thing that kind of turned me off the most. What turned me off the most is like, okay, I
He was
am.
actually a dragon and had two
There,
dams.
he had. I was like, whoa, my God, I don't have my magic bomb. He. Like I'm Jewish, like, and I know people can like assume when they see my first and last name or when they look at me, like I'm Jewish. Okay, like great job, and he obviously was able to pick up on that. And I think,
Like, oh, good for you.
yeah, like great, you have Judar. I don't know, but like sometimes like what people do, and this was the second time this has ever happened to me. They'll start talking in like a New York accent and
No.
be like, "Oy vey,"
Stop.
like as if like I. Like, live in Fiddler on the Roof. You know what I mean? And it was
no.
like, and he was doing that. And I think like out of all of the things of like showing me Chips, and then even at one point, like was like talking about how much he hated Hillary Clinton.
Oh, wow.
This is after the election too. It was the Jewish thing that got me the
You were like,
most.
like, please
I'm
don't.
please don't. And it's
That's
like,
awful.
yeah, So that was I think my worst date.
Yeah.
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 That sounds bad.
Wins.
Do you think he knew he was doing that? Or do you think it was just like,
I am gonna say maybe he was. Like I think like I don't know. Like I
like nerves.
I just think it was
got him, but
nerves.
yeah.
Yeah.
oh my God.
But it was because I feel like maybe I have an energy where it's like I've given people panic attacks.
You've
before.
made him
You know?
so nervous
And
that
I think
he couldn't even.
he couldn't.
In
Yeah.
his mind, he's
putting
like,
on fake
I am
accents.
literally going to do it with a girl from Chips.
Oh my
That
God.
in his head,
I
that's
know.
what. And now you're like a fucking celebrity to him.
Yeah.
It
In
was-
his mind, he's like, boop 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 boop, Chips, chips.
Maybe
Like,
I don't know. I'm just kind of like, well, like me. Like I mean, you know what I mean? Like I'm like,
Yeah.
you're on an app with so many people from
Yeah.
Los Angeles. Like I wasn't even working at the time. You had a job. I'm like, I'm a mess, man. I'm a complete mess. You
People
do
don't know
not
that,
need-
though.
It's true. Yeah.
They don't. I
Yeah.
mean, but I do think that because I think I've had similar things happen to me with people where like they'll affect something like because, and I don't know if they're doing it on purpose or if that it's a thing where they don't realize it's offensive because they're trying to connect. It's like a really weird way to try and connect to you.
And
it's
weird.
offensive, but
Yeah.
they don't realize that it's offensive. Like I've definitely had guys who are like when I was younger bring up like rap music in a way that I knew was like you get
Right,
it,
yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
You know what I'm saying, right?
And it's like I see what you're doing, and I don't think that you think that this is but it's offensive.
I just saw a TikTok the other day. This male podcaster, of course,
Man with mic.
was telling this story, and he kept saying hard R, or whatever. And the other guy on him was like, that doesn't mean what you think it means, man. Like, you can't say that.
What was he trying
He
to
was
say?
trying to say, he's like, you know, like mentally challenged.
No.
He's like, no, man, that's not what that refers to at all. But it just makes me think of like people that so confidently like
Chest
put
out.
something chest out, put something out there like that. It's like he's gonna have a shame receipt
Yeah.
for the rest of his life.
Yeah, I mean, post 2016 election, coming out with your chest out
It
on
was
a first date.
Yeah, it was a very weird time to be dating for the, like hooking up with
Yeah.
people for the first time
Yeah.
in that environment.
Yeah.
Like with everything that I had gone through and just like kind of like my limitations at the time, and like, you know, it was a wild time.
Oh, wow.
So best date then.
Oh, okay. Let me think about. Oh God, best date. You know, I feel like one of the best dates I ever went on was like when have you ever been on like a date where you know nothing's gonna happen, but like you kind of let down your guard. You both know nothing's gonna happen,
Yeah.
and you just have like a good
That's
conversation.
freeing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Those I feel like those are kind of my better dates than like other ones.
The pressure's off.
Yeah, because you're just like, you know, and
This
it's like
isn't going to happen for us,
Yeah.
but let's have fun.
yeah. And
We're here.
And it was where I actually like told that chip story for the first time, and the guy was like, because we were like, this is what are we doing? You know what I mean? Like we were both just like dating so hard, but this is great. And I was like, yeah, I went home with this guy who played chips, and he's like, what? That's insane. And I'm like, is it? I don't know. And so it was because of him. He like validated the chip story. But like, I feel like, you know, there have been dates where like the hookup was good. Maybe the person, you know, I didn't click with, or the person I did click with wasn't someone I was attracted to. So there was never
Right.
like, I never had like a best date yet.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yet.
But I feel like for me, like there are so many memorable moments from dates
Yeah.
that I
Yeah.
appreciate, you know? Yeah.
What about red flags? Anything that you're just like, at this point, you're just like, I've done my 30s as a 20 person, and now I know where I'm at now. I would never date somebody who
To be honest, I did my early 20s as a 20s and my 30s as a 20. My 30s as a 20 was way more fun
There
and
you go.
fulfilling. So
there you
you're
go.
not doing it wrong.
Okay. That makes
Yeah.
me feel so much better.
It's much
Yeah.
better.
'Cause it's
Doing
like-
your
yeah.
20s in your 20s sucks.
Yeah.
It's terrible. It's
yeah,
awful.
you didn't miss a thing.
No.
I mean, okay. Yeah. It's just like weird when like you're like talking with people and it's like, oh, you know, when you're like 25 and you're just like having sex with someone and you're like, and I'm always like, oh yeah, man, sex in your 20s, that was wild, right? Like,
No, it was pretty bad.
Yeah,
actually,
it's not good. It's not great.
People,
yeah.
some mostly bad.
Yeah.
But 30s and your 20s, you're also. I think I'm more assertive, at least in being like, I don't like that.
I
Yeah.
know what I want. Yeah.
Yeah, I think
Don't do
like
that.
when I get back out there now, I'll be like that. Just like having because like okay, I'm in my doing my 20s in my 30s. I'm acting like I'm 20s, like being very apologetic. You know, like I have chronic pelvic pain. I have something called vestibulodynia, which kind of makes intercourse painful. You know,
Oh, okay.
so I need to be warmed up.
Yeah.
Yes.
It sucks, you know, and it's very hard.
It's like having a car, like, you know, in Minnesota.
Exactly,
It's like,
yeah.
You gotta
Yeah.
turn it on. You
Let it
know,
run for a
let
bit.
it run for a bit. Warm it up.
Yeah. And also there are days where it's like if there's a flare, you know, I can't have sex. Like I can't
Yeah.
do it. Like and I was so apologetic about it. And when I started this like kind of like going out on dates all the time, I was ready to date, but I still couldn't fuck. And so I was like freaking out because I'm like, I got to make up for this, which is very like
It's a lot of pressure.
It's a lot of pressure,
Yeah.
and I would never wish that on anyone, let alone someone who's 32, 33. But I, for some reason, was like, I need to apologize. I feel awful about this. So I'm reading like 2 books about how to give great blowjobs, and I'm like looking up online, trying how to like, you know, make up for it. And then like, it wasn't until like, you know, recently where I realized like, I need to stop apologizing for this. Like, and that's kind of where I ended my dating when I was like, at the end of the pandemic, because I was actually like, I was going to do a 1-woman show about having pelvic pain, and I was like on a date with someone. It was a first date, and he was like, well, what's your show about? And I was like, oh fuck, I can't tell you. Like, hi, I'm Becky. I'm going to do a 1-woman show about my awful sex. You know what I mean? Like, so I had to like stop and like talk about like all these like crazy like dicks that whatever. And so but the pandemic did give me time to like realize like, oh, okay, like I am going to go back out there when I do and just like not see myself as a problem anymore.
Yeah.
You know,
Oh,
which I
that's
know
so
is
powerful.
like, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's so hard to do because
Yeah.
it's like when you're in the moment and like, you know, especially when you're like turned on and anxious and all this stuff, like you kind of forget all reasons and you forget like to be kind to yourself. And so
Absolutely.
Well, I think we need to decenter sex as the primary thing
Yeah,
in
PIV
any
is
relationship.
not the
Like,
absolutely.
I think that we have to like decenter that as like, this is what dating is. I mean, and you know, like we're guilty of it as well. I mean, because it's the thing that people talk about the most. Like, and you watch Sex in the City and it's what's centered about like relationships is sex is what's being centered there. But if we decenter that, I think like you realize that like you have so much to offer and relationships are about so much more than sex.
So much more than sex.
yeah.
That it's just like, that's not.
And honestly, thank God.
I know.
Because I mean, if I
yeah.
had married the person who I had the best sex with,
Oh God, it's always the
No,
worst person
you can't.
on earth.
No.
You can't. Yeah.
Yes.
that person's awful.
It's the worst person on earth.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
that I think about that sometimes. And I'm
Yeah.
just like, God, Jesus, what a
I mean,
nightmare.
it doesn't say a lot about the partners we're with, but you just can't.
Man,
like,
but I feel about
part of it's because they're
the
so
whole
nasty.
like apology thing. I used to when I was younger. I remember apologizing for having my period.
Yeah.
You ever be like, "Oh, I'm so sorry, I'm on my period." Like
yeah.
it's a natural, normal.
I'm
thing.
sorry for me because I'm
Yeah.
in pain and bleeding.
Yeah.
So, you know, if you can't deal with it, get the fuck out. Like,
Seriously.
no, yeah, I do think now that I'm older, I have a lot less like. I do apologize less because I'm a big people pleaser, apologizer as well, and I think that as I've gotten older, you let that stuff go a lot more. Yeah.
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 Yeah. And so like to circle back to the like red flags, I think my red flags are like if you are going through something where like and you're in a situation where it feels like the person you're with feels entitled to a fun hole on your body and they're mad because you can't do this or you can't do that, that's
Bye.
a red flag.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
if
Absolutely.
you don't say like there were times where I went home with someone and was like I can't like fuck tonight and he goes like, oh, not even anal. And like
Wow.
there wasn't like one, oh, I'm sorry, that really sucks that you have to deal with, or like, you know, oh, like, you know, that's great. I still like you. You know what I mean? It's like those things which are so crazy,
entitled.
Wow.
That's
which I can't believe I.
And also, is
Yeah.
it your birthday? Yeah. We're now anal? Is that like a regular?
Yeah.
Seriously.
not even like saying it like that. Like,
I mean,
that's like the.
do you have something? I can put it up your butt.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
Yeah, we can.
We can absolutely. Yes. Oh, I'm totally down to do that.
Yeah.
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 I got
And-
my strap on in my purse.
I think that is a great red flag, though. Anybody who is entitled to
Any
your
part of your body.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's a huge red flag.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like if they're giving you grief, if they're leaving, like they didn't get the party favor they wanted, then you know,
Yeah.
then that's kind of.
I mean,
yeah.
ultimately, someone finding you attractive is nice. Like, it's nice. It makes you feel good. But like, ultimately, I don't want someone to want me because of my body. Like, I do not want them to want me because of
Right.
my body. Your body's going to change.
Right.
Like, there's so much, and it would make me so
kind of
uncomfortable.
want that still. Some part of it.
I mean, of course,
But
it
both.
feels
Like, I want it all.
good. It feels good that somebody is attracted to you and like
Yeah.
likes your body. But like, ultimately, I would feel uncomfortable by someone
Who
that
only-
being the primary.
Yes.
Yeah,
thing.
because like
'Cause you're absolutely
we
right.
have
It
no
does change.
control over it. Like
right.
we have no control over aging. If someone is dealing with like some sort of illness or physical condition, it's the one thing we have no control over as much as we try. And it's like the only thing you can have control over is like your perspective about the whole thing. And it's like, you know, okay, fine. I, at this point in my life, cannot have sex. I'm still sex positive because I'm still going out there. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
it's like, that's the thing.
And
Yeah.
sex means a lot of things. Like,
Oh
just,
my God,
just like what
totally.
Christina was saying. Like,
Yeah.
you know, P&V is not the only.
That's
No.
right.
The only thing, and so like intimacy is also really important, and
Yeah.
sometimes that doesn't have to do with sex at all.
Yeah.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, yeah.
Yeah, we have
Yeah.
we have lots of different spicy
Oh, yeah.
times over at the Connor Mills household. Just gotta be creative.
You're like, I need to
Everybody's so
justify.
creative.
Everybody's so creative.
you see how different that looks?
Differently different. That is.
Exactly.
Listen.
Listen. Oh my gosh. Well, it has been a pleasure.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, you
truly,
guys.
it
Hey,
really has.
I'm such a fan of your podcast, and it means honestly, like it means so much that to be here. Like you've helped me during that time when I had no idea what I was doing. Like I would come home, from like this awful date, and I'd be like, "What am I doing?" And then I would just like listen to your podcast and
Not
be like,
alone.
I'm not alone. Okay,
Yeah, not alone.
Yeah.
Hey, if you're not bringing puppets on dates, you're
Listen.
succeeding.
Yeah.
Listen.
Yeah. That's the number one, I think, piece of
Puppets.
advice that we take off.
Leave them at home.
Leave your puppets at home.
Leave all of the obsessions.
Ninja stars.
Chips talk.
Chips.
You can leave that one. We had I think it was at our live show, the person who was obsessed with Scooby-Doo. Like,
Oh my God,
like,
that's right.
Have your interests, but like maybe curb them before you come on the date. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, tell people where they can find you.
They can find me at my Twitter and Instagram for my personal is Beckles212. My podcast is called Too Stupid to Live, TSTL Podcast, TSTLpodcast.com. And yeah, I think that's, my name is Becky Feldman. BeckyFeldman.com has all the, if you
All the
want,
stuff.
if you want, I don't know.
Yeah.
Or
You've
just
been
be
a
my friend. Just come be my
wonderful
friend.
guest.
Oh my
Wonderful
gosh.
guest.
Yeah.
Loved having
Thank
you.
you.
This is a blast. Yeah.
No, we love you so much.
Cheers.
This is a Glass Box Media podcast.